was drafted in the Army March the 21st, 1968. I had completed my basic training, advanced infantry training, had my 30-day leave, and was off to Vietnam. We were near the Cambodian border where we were looking for the flow of VC and supplies coming down from the Ho Chi Minh Trail through Cambodia and then into South Vietnam, headed towards Saigon. We would do ambushes at night, and we would set up early, about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then ease into our final destination for the evening. So we were set up by 7 o'clock. By 6 o'clock in the morning, we were done. We were ready to move on to a new location. In some cases, we were near villages and highways. In this one particular scenario, we saw a Vietnamese who was on a bicycle, and he had these boxes on the side. He had French bread in them. He was taking them to market. We stopped him, and we bought 3 loaves of French bread off of him for our breakfast that morning. It was better than the sea rations that we had. Quite often on our missions, we would be traveling through villages. And a couple of things that we noticed right away at the villages. If the people came out of their buildings, you saw older women, younger women. You saw young children below the age of 12 and old men over the age of 50. The males between those 2 ages were not present. They were off either in the South Vietnamese Army or serving with the Viet Cong or the NVA. As we came through the villages, if you saw mom standing in a doorway and the kids behind her, you knew something was about to happen. It was not a good day. If mom wasn't in the door and the kids come running out and they were begging for cigarettes and candy and sea rations and things like that, then you knew the VC were not in the area at all and it was safe. Prior to 1968, my arrival, we'd started using Agent Orange, dioxin defoliant, to remove the vegetation near bases and secure areas. So most of the veterans that were there were exposed to Agent Orange, but not in the way that you would think. You would think that they were sprayed on specifically or came in contact with the Agent Orange on the trees or foliage and that sort of thing. The case really is that if you were in country during these times and you drank a cup of water, you were exposed to Agent Orange. Agent Orange was sprayed on the trees, the rains washed it off into the soil, the rains then washed it out of the soil into the streams. We took our water out of the streams and purified it for us to drink. No one knew anything about the dioxin problems or checked for the chemicals that were in the water. Anyone who has served in a combat situation and been fortunate enough to come home has some degree of survivor's guilt. It's just common. The questions run through your head, why me? Why did I come home and my buddy didn't? And that was certainly my case. I had a couple of friends that were killed. I should have been killed as well and wasn't. And I never could figure out why I was fortunate enough to come home. I started volunteering at the Vietnam Veterans National Memorial on the Mall in Washington, D.C., April 15th, 2000. It was one of the best things I ever did for myself, very selfishly. It gives me a chance to explain a little bit about the Vietnam experiences. It gives me a chance to meet moms and dads who have lost children, brothers and sisters who have lost a brother, console them, comfort them, make rubbings for them. Those are the pleasures that I get out of volunteering. You also get to meet some notoriety, some people, celebrities. One of my first trips down there was over at Veterans Day, and it was the Veterans Day after the book We Were Soldiers Once and Young came out. And I had a chance and the opportunity to meet Hal Moore and Joe Galloway, the co-authors of that movie and book. It was a very good, moving experience for me. One of my very first experiences was on Memorial Day, where a teacher was talking to his students saying that they had just come in there from California from the 8th grade to do a tour of the wall. And this one boy had 7 names of cousins and uncles who were killed on the wall. He came to me, asked me to help him look up the names. He gave me the paper where we found them all. We went to each one, made a rubbing. After it was done, he gave me a hug, and we both cried. It was a very moving experience for both of us. We have several special events that take place at the memorial. One of my favorites is every 5 years, on the 5th anniversary, we read the names first to last, and it takes about 3.5 days to do that. I also volunteer at the National Cemetery of the Alleghenies here. I'm there on Fridays for 4 hours and Sundays for 4 hours. Again, it's a part of my giving back to our military and my volunteering activities. I greet people, help them find locations where their family or friends are buried, and answer any questions they might have. These young men, boys really, were sent off to spend their tour of duty 1 year, 365 days, in the harsh heat and jungle environment of a strange land where war had been a way of life for 4,000 years. The cultural differences were overwhelming, the political questions unanswerable, the whys unknowable.